making violence, killing brothers with your riders, selling drugs up on the corners, but the profits here, so boy, you better. You've been making violence, killing brothers with your riders, selling drugs up on the corners, but the profits here, so boy, you better plan up. Cause the profits here now. You better plan up. Hey, bring that up. Cause the profits here now. See hanging on the corner, see hanging on the streets. Some about to run up on you, someday you never see. I got that Bible on me, don't need no gun. You got them questions, I get it like everyone. Looking like I come for war, even when I come in peace. 3 times I prayed to the Lord, 3 times I turn to these. Pop out to the club, sipping on that cup. Everything you do, I done did and I gave it up. You've been making violence, killing brothers with your riders, selling drugs up on the corners, but the profits here, so you better. You've been making violence, killing brothers with your riders, selling drugs up on the corners, but the profits here, so you better plan up. Cause the profits here now. You better plan up. Hey, bring that up. Cause the profits here now. You've been making violence, killing brothers with your riders, selling drugs up on the corners, but the profits here, so you better. You've been making violence, killing brothers with your riders, selling drugs up on the corners, but the profits here, so you better plan up. Cause the profits here now. You better plan up. Hey, bring that up. Cause the profits here now. So you think you a man, cause you pushing them drugs, while I'm taking care of my family and showing them love. And you thinking you high, well I'm thinking you not. Cause what really makes you a man is keeping the laws of God. Wait a minute, let me tell the truth. Life and death is set before you, what you gon' do? And if you wanna get them demons from above you, and I suggest you start repenting, man. You've been making violence, killing brothers with your riders, selling drugs up on the corners, but the profits here, so you better. You've been making violence, killing brothers with your riders, selling drugs up on the corners, but the profits here, so you better. Cause the profits here now. Profits here, yeah. You better man. Cause the profits here now. We the saviors of the day. You've been making violence, killing brothers with your riders, selling drugs up on the corners, but the profits here, so you better. You've been making violence, killing brothers with your riders, selling drugs up on the corners, but the profits here, so you better plan up. Cause the profits here now. Profits here now. You better plan up. Cause the profits here now. Saviors of the day. Fire, God's words is a fire. If you never get burned, you will never shine brighter. So we're gonna make it hotter. Counsel, take a look now, coming to the fire. Like a brother Azariah. Praise up, going in, coming in the higher. Meshat, look around you, see an angel right behind you. All of these heathen be capping it up. I'm the real king and there's no other one. When I touch down, your timing is up. Pouring out fury, so give me your cup. So you give me your cup and I'm filling it up. Babylon falling, ain't nowhere to run. Ain't no one stopping until all is done. Blow on the trumpet and bang on the drum. You've been making violence, killing brothers with your riders, selling drugs up on the corners, but the profits here, so you better. You've been making violence, killing brothers with your riders, selling drugs up on the corners, but the profits here, so you better plan up. Cause the profits here now. You better plan up. Hey, bring that up. Cause the profits here now. You've been making violence, killing brothers with your riders, selling drugs up on the corners, but the profits here, so.
Hey, Shalom Israel, Most High in Christ bless. Officer Jez back for another class of Man Up Mondays. Man Up Mondays. All right, covering for Captain Joel. All right, my reader,
Officer Shatiel.
Officer Shatiel, all praises. First, I would like to know if you can hear me loud and clear. Type Y if you can hear me. Type N if you cannot hear me. Type Y if you can hear me. Type N if you cannot hear me. All I need is one Y. That's it? Yep. All right. All praises. So, title of tonight's class is Great Men That Became Followers Before Leaders. Okay, great men that were followers before leaders. So, we're going to touch on, give examples of great men that, how they became followers before they became leaders, how they followed counsel. All right. How they always stayed up under their leadership. All right. How they always wear down the footsteps of the leadership. All right. First, let's start with Sirach 6. Sirach chapter 6. You give me verse. You start at 31. Sirach 6 and 31.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 6, verse 31.
Read.
Thou shalt put her on as a robe of honor, and shalt put her about thee as a crown of joy.
So this is going into wisdom. All right. This is going into wisdom. Read again.
Thou shalt put her on as a robe of honor,
Uh-huh.
and shalt put her about thee as a crown of joy.
Read.
My son, if thou wilt, thou shalt be taught.
So, my son, if thou wilt, thou shalt be taught. If thou wilt, then you will be taught. Read.
And if thou wilt apply thy mind, thou shalt be prudent.
And if you want to apply your mind to learn this Bible, to learn the scriptures, to understand God's laws, read it again.
If thou wilt apply thy mind, thou shalt be prudent.
Then prudent, you will be wise. But you have to apply. Like the bishop always says, study, pray, and apply. We got to apply our minds. We got to learn to apply our minds to these scriptures, man, and to what the leadership is teaching us. Read it from the top again.
My son, if thou wilt, thou shalt be taught. And if thou wilt apply thy mind, thou shalt be prudent.
Hey, somebody tell me, what does it mean, if thou wilt, thou shalt be taught? What does that mean? Who got the crowd, Michael? If thou wilt, let's get some crowd participation today. If thou wilt, thou shalt be taught. What does that mean?
Hey, shalom, leadership.
Shalom, Most High
It's
Christ
going
bless.
into at your own desire. So if you really want, if you desire that wisdom, then wisdom will teach you.
Good, good. It's up to you. That's what he's saying. It's up to you. If thou wilt, if you will, if you desire, then you will be taught, right? Read on.
And if thou wilt apply thy mind, thou shalt be prudent.
So it's up to you to apply your mind. It's up to us to apply our mind to what the leadership is bringing out to us. It's up to us to apply our minds to this Bible. It's up to you. Go ahead.
If thou love to hear, thou shalt receive understanding.
And if you love to hear, you shall receive what?
Understanding.
And if you love to hear, you shall receive understanding. Okay? If you love to hear what the leadership is bringing out, if you keep around the leadership, you stay around the leadership. Okay? You right there. If you love to hear, then read it again.
If thou love to hear, thou shalt receive understanding.
Then you will receive understanding. Read on.
And if thou bow thine ear, thou shalt be wise.
Read.
Stand in the multitude of the
You
elders.
see? Stand in the multitude of the elders, your spiritual fathers. Okay? Read.
And cleave unto him that is wise.
And we must cleave unto our spiritual fathers, those that are wise. Those that are wise, we must cleave to them. Okay? Why? Because the Most High send back leaders for us to give me Isaiah 33 and 6 real quick. Isaiah 33 and 6.
Isaiah.
Let me show you why the Most High send back leaders, man.
Isaiah chapter 33, verse 6.
Uh-huh.
And wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times.
So wisdom and knowledge, meaning what? Wisdom and keeping God's laws will make us stable. In our generation, wisdom and knowledge, that is the stability in our generation. How? How will wisdom and knowledge be the stability in our generation? Most High will send back leaders to guide us. That's the only way we're going to be stable. Without that, we just niggas, spicks, running around shooting thoughts. All right? Running around shooting each other, black on black crime. Some of us think the stability of our times today is what? Social media. Rap, the hip-hop culture. We think that's the stability of our times, of our generation. Drill music. The modern woman today, the independent woman. We think these things was keeping us stable. The Christian church, we think is keeping us stable today. Hell no. Read it again.
And wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy time.
So we understand this Bible will be the stability of our times. The Most High will send back leaders to guide us in our time. And I'm going to show you in the scriptures examples of how the Most High send back different leaders to guide us in that time. Just examples of men that stood under the men that became followers, that stood under the leadership, stood under their wings, and became leaders themselves, but they was followers first. But the Most High sent back that leadership for them to stabilize us. Okay, go back to Sirach.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 6, verse 34.
Read again.
Stand in the multitude of the elders and cleave unto him that is wise.
So we gotta learn to stand in the multitude of the elders and cleave to him that is wise. Read.
Be willing to hear every godly discourse, and let not the parables of understanding escape thee.
And we gotta be willing to hear every godly discourse, man. We can't be. A lot of our people they want to run to hear your favorite rap music, your favorite whatever your favorite is, rap music, social media. We run to these things, but God said we must be around godly discourse. Read it again. Thank you.
Be willing to hear every godly discourse.
So we must be willing to hear every godly discourse. Read.
And let not the parables of understanding escape thee.
Read.
If thou seest a man of understanding, get thee betimes unto him. And
meaning what? Get to him early. If you see a man of understanding, get to him early. Go ahead.
And let thy foot wear the steps of his door.
And let thy foot do what?
Wear the steps of his door.
Read.
Let thy mind be upon the ordinances of the Lord, and meditate continually in his commandments. He shall establish thine heart.
So the Most High will establish our mind. All right. But read verse 36 again.
And if thou seest a man of understanding, get thee betimes unto him, and let thy foot wear the steps of his door.
So the scripture says if you see a man of understanding, get to him early. Get to him early. Wear the footsteps of his door. All right. Meaning what? You always around him. You always want to listen to him. Any understanding coming out, you there, man. You ain't missing nothing. You ain't missing no parables. You ain't missing anything. Dark sentences, you right there. Read on.
Let thy mind be upon the ordinances of the Lord, and meditate continually in his commandments. He shall establish thine heart, and give thee wisdom at thine own desire.
Right. So you only going to get wisdom at your own desire. Give me James where it says pray for wisdom.
James.
It's only going to come at your desire, at our desire. Let me get there. Read.
James chapter 1 verse 5. If any of you lack wisdom.
So if any of us lack wisdom, read.
Let him ask of God, that giveth to all men liberally, and upbraideth not, and it shall be given to him.
Read it from the top again.
If any of you lack wisdom.
So if any of us lack any type of wisdom, we want understanding. We want to learn, get more understanding of the laws. We want to learn the parables and so forth. You want to learn how to be a better counselor. You want to learn how to be a better leader. Okay, you must do what?
Let him ask of God, that giveth to all men liberally.
You got to pray for that thing, man. It's not going to just come to you. You got to pray for it. Read.
And upbraideth not, and it shall be given him.
And the Most High will give it to you freely. That's what liberally means. He will freely give it to you. Why? Because you desire that. You desire that. Read.
But let him ask in faith, nothing wavering.
Right. You can't ask anything and be double-minded. You cannot ask for anything of the Lord and be double-minded. Read.
For he that wavereth is like a wave of the sea, driven with the wind and tossed.
Read.
For let not that man think that he shall receive anything of the Lord.
Right. Read on. Watch. Verse 8.
A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways.
So a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Hey, give me, while we here, give me James 4. Give me James 4. Let me see. Hold on. You know what? Nah, I don't want that. Give me So let's get some examples of men that stood under their leadership, that became followers first before they became leaders. Give me let's deal with Joshua. Let's deal with Joshua, man. Give me Numbers 11. Don't want 11:38. Let me see. Numbers 11:38. Read that.
Numbers chapter 11, verse 28.
Yep.
And Joshua, the son of Nun, the servant of Moses, one of his young men.
So Joshua was one of Moses' young men. Read.
And Joshua, the son of Nun, the servant of Moses, one of his young men, answered and said, My Lord Moses, forbid them. And Moses said unto him, Enviest thou for my sake? Would God that all the Lord's people were prophets, and that the Lord would put his spirit upon them. And Moses gat him into the camp, he and the elders of Israel.
Read.
And from there went forth a wind from the Lord, and brought quails from the sea, and let them fall by the camp.
All right, so all I want is that Joshua start off as one of Moses' young men. All right, that Joshua start off as one of Moses' young men. From there, get me Exodus 28:18. Exodus 28:18.
Exodus chapter 28. You said 28:18, sir?
There's no 2018?
No, there's 28. You said 2018 or 28? Sorry.
No, Numbers 28:18. My
Yes,
bad.
sir. Numbers chapter 28, verse 18.
One second. All right.
And
Go
the first day shall be an holy convocation. You shall do no manner of servile work therein. But you
Is
shall
that Numbers 28:18? Man, I'm right now. Check Exodus. I'm right now wrong scriptures, bro. Exodus 28:18. Let me see. Oh, snap. Give me Exodus 24:12. Yeah, somebody find a man in whom is the Spirit. You can read that.
Exodus chapter 24 and verse 12. And the Lord said unto Moses, Come up to me into the mount, and be there. And I will give thee tables of stone, and a law, and commandments, which I have written, that thou mayest teach them.
Right. So this is when Moses went up into the mount to get the commandments from the Lord. Read on, verse 13.
Verse 13. And Moses rose up, and his minister Joshua.
And his minister who?
Joshua.
So Joshua was Moses' minister, meaning what? Joshua was always up under Moses, man. Joshua was always up under Moses. He wore down Moses' footsteps. Okay? Read it again.
And Moses rose up, and his minister Joshua.
Mm-hmm.
And Moses went up into the mount of God.
Read on.
And he said unto the elders, Tarry ye here for us until we come again unto you. And behold, Aaron and Hur are with you. If any man have any matters to do, let him come unto them. And Moses went up into the mount, and a cloud covered the mount. And the glory of the Lord abode upon Mount Sinai, and a cloud covered it 6 days.
So read 13 again.
And Moses rose up, and his minister Joshua.
So remember, Joshua was one of Moses' young men. Okay? So meaning what? He was in Moses' circle. All right? He was next to Moses. He always wore down Moses' footsteps. Joshua was a follower before he became a leader. All right? So it says, and he ministered unto, and Moses rose up, and his minister Joshua. All right? From there, did y'all find the one I want?
Numbers 27:18.
Yeah, try that. Let me see.
Numbers chapter 27, verse 18. And the Lord said unto Moses,
That's it.
take thee Joshua, the son of Nun, a man in whom is the Spirit, and lay thine hand upon him.
So he said, and the Lord said unto Moses, take thee Joshua, the son of Nun, a man in whom is the Spirit. What spirit? Okay. From there, give me Wisdom of Solomon 1 and 5. What spirit was in Joshua, man? What spirit? Wisdom of Solomon 1 and 5.
Wisdom of Solomon chapter 1, verse 5. For the Holy Spirit of discipline will flee deceit.
So understand, Joshua had that spirit of discipline. Okay. The Holy Spirit of discipline was in Joshua. From there, give me Sirach 18:14.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 18, verse 14. He hath mercy on them that receive discipline, and that diligently seek after his judgments.
So obviously Joshua had to be that type of man where he diligently seek after the Lord's judgments, man. All right. So he was rolling with that spirit of discipline. All right. So from there, go now give me Exodus 33:11. Exodus 33:11. Just dealing with Joshua. Just going through some scriptures showing you how Joshua was up under Moses before he became an actual leader.
Exodus chapter 33, verse 11. And the Lord spake unto Moses face to face, as a man speaketh unto his friend. And he turned again into the camp. But his servant Joshua, the son of Nun, a young man, departed not out of the tabernacle.
You see that? Joshua didn't go nowhere. Why? Because he loved being around Moses. He stayed up under Moses, soaking in all that understanding, that stability, that wisdom and knowledge. That's who Joshua was. He soaked all that up from Moses. That's why when Moses was about to die, that's why the Most High said, yo, he's next in line. He's up. Find me that scripture where Joshua became, I think it's in Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy 34. I think it's Deuteronomy 34.
Deuteronomy.
Is it?
Yep, 9. Full of the spirit of wisdom.
For Joshua?
Yes.
Yes.
Deuteronomy chapter 34, verse 9. And Joshua.
Start up at verse 7.
Verse 7. Deuteronomy chapter 34, verse 7.
Read.
And Moses was 120 years old when he died. His eye was not dim, nor his natural force abated.
So Moses still had his natural force, man. He still was strong in body. Go ahead.
And the children of Israel wept for Moses in the plains of Moab 30 days. So the days of weeping and mourning for Moses were ended. And Joshua, the son of Nun, was full of the spirit of wisdom, for Moses had laid his hands upon him. And the children of Israel hearkened unto him and did as the Lord commanded Moses.
Right. So now Moses is about to die. So now the spirit jumped on Joshua. But guess what? Why? Because Joshua was up under Moses. All right. So the Most High say, yo, he's your next. Look, Joshua's going to be your next leader for Israel. All right. Why? Because he wore down the footsteps of Moses. He seek understanding from Moses. Okay. From there, let's deal with King David. King David. Give me 1 Samuel. See 1 Samuel's. Nah, was it 1 Samuel's? I don't have it in my notes. I think it's 1 Samuel's. Check verse 16. Verse 16.
Verse 16. Says that's
where he, huh?
He's playing the harp, and then King Saul says, "Yo, give me that man."
No, verse 1 Samuel 19:18.
Yes, sir.
My bad. 1 Samuel 19:18.
1 Samuel.
And then you can read. Then you can bring that up.
Yes, sir. 1 Samuel chapter 19 and
This one. Yeah,
1 Samuel chapter 19, verse 18. So David fled and escaped and came to Samuel to Ramah and told him all that Saul had done to him. And he and Samuel went and dwelt in Naoth. And it was told Saul, saying, Behold, David is at Naoth and Ramah. And Saul sent messengers to take David. And when they saw the company of the prophets prophesying, and Samuel standing as appointed over them, the Spirit of God was upon the messengers of Saul, and they also prophesied.
So go back to verse 18.
Verse 18.
So I brought this out last week. I'm going to show you something, how you think King David didn't just become king out of nowhere. Understand, he learned also from his leaders. Which was Samuel. Read it again.
So David fled and escaped and came to Samuel to Ramah and told him all that Saul had done to him. And he and Samuel went and dwelt in Naoth.
So, Naoth, give me, remember the page I gave you before? Not this one. Bible Hub. Just going to rehash it real quick. So now we're dealing with King David. How King David became king. King David became a follower first. Yeah, remember the picture? That might be under somebody. Well, you read that one. You can read that one first. Go back to the other page. Yep, you can read that one. I gotta find the other one.
It is at the close of the period of the judges that the office of prophet first becomes not merely an occasional manifestation, but a fixed institution in the Jewish church. Samuel is the true founder of the order of the prophets. Until Samuel the prophet, from Samuel and those that follow after, Samuel and the prophets are expressions which exactly agree with the facts of the history.
Where you at?
About to start at in his time, the name of prophet.
Okay, go ahead.
In his time, the name of prophet, Nabi, first came into use in place of the ancient and less exalted title of seer, Roah, or gazer, Hosea. In his time first appeared the companies of the sons of the prophets. From his time, the succession continues in every generation, unbroken down to Malachi. He, like Moses, appears not alone, but as the center of a circle of prophets.
So listen, he said he, like Moses, appears not alone, but as the center of a circle of prophets. Meaning what? Samuel had disciples. So he even let you know Moses had disciples. Go ahead. So Joshua was one of the disciples of Moses, but he was the one that always stood up under Moses, that, you know, that was there by Moses. He wouldn't even leave Moses' side. Go ahead.
But unlike Moses, of a circle, some of whom were as highly endowed with prophetic gifts as he himself.
Read.
Without dwelling on the doubtful case of his father Elkanah and his mother Hannah, there was certainly Gad, Nathan.
So hold on. So now he's naming those that was in the school of the prophets with King David, right? Read it again. Of Samuel. Read it again.
Without dwelling on that doubtful case of his father Elkanah and his mother Hannah.
So it's talking about Samuel, right? Samuel was the leader at this time. He had disciples under him. He had prophets that he was teaching. Read.
There were certainly Gad.
So Gad, read.
Nathan.
Remember, Nathan was one of King David's prophets, right? Go ahead.
David.
King David himself.
Saul.
So Saul was even a disciple of Samuel. Read.
And Heman.
Heman was also a disciple of Samuel. Read on.
Samuel's grandson. Amongst those who, if they were not actually educated by him, all marked the epoch of his appearance. Or epic of his appearance.
Read on.
Amongst these, Samuel, Gad, and Heman, as if still belonging in a measure to the older state of things, are called seers.
Seers is just another word for, now it's called prophets, but seers because why? They see the future. All right. So we were formerly called, the prophets were formerly called seers, but now it's just prophets now. Mean the same thing. Go ahead. You see the root word is see. Why? Because they could see into the future. Go ahead.
Whereas Nathan and David bear, without variation, the new name of prophet.
Prophet. Okay. Read on. Let's see. Read on.
From the two,
Read that. I'm trying to find the other one that I want from Bible Hub.
from the two most remarkable of this age, Nathan and David, flowed, in all probability, the two prophetic schools which never entirely ceased out of the Jewish church.
So it says, from the two most remarkable of this age, Nathan and David flowed, in all probability, the two prophetic schools. Read on.
Which never entirely ceased out of the Jewish church as long as the prophetic gift lasted at all.
So what I'm showing you is that King David, he was a student first. He was a follower. He was a disciple first. Okay. He didn't just became king out of nowhere. No, King David had to understand, learn the laws and so forth. All right. He got that spirit upon him. All right, from Samuel. Go to Bible Hub real quick. Go to Bible Hub, because I can't find it. Type in 1 Samuel 19:18 and go down to I think the pulpit commentary. Go all the way down. Right here. Let me see. Yep. Blow it up.
Pulpit commentary, verse 18. David came to Samuel. We have seen that there is every reason to believe that David had been taught and trained.
That David been what?
Taught and trained.
That he been what?
Taught and trained.
King David was taught and trained. Read.
By Samuel.
By Samuel. Read on.
Among the sons of the prophets.
So he was in the schools, man. He was in the schools. King David was there. Read on.
And now, conscious of his innocence, he flees for refuge to his old master, trusting that Saul would reverence God's prophet and give credence to his intercession and his pledge that David was guiltless.
Read.
He and Samuel went and dwelt in Naoth, rather in Nevaioth, as it is written in the written text.
Read on.
This is not the name of a place, but signifies dwellings, lodgings.
So Naoth means a dwelling or lodgings. Go ahead.
And is always translated in the Chaldee house of study.
It was a school. That's where he went. So when he's running from Saul, he ran back to the school. He ran back to the school to get away from Saul. All right. Go ahead.
I.e. students' lodgings. Somewhere near to Ramah, Samuel had erected buildings to receive young men.
I'm sorry, I read it. Read it again.
Somewhere near to Ramah, Samuel had erected buildings to receive his young men, who were called sons of the prophets.
All right, so King David was amongst them. All right. So King David didn't just become a king out of nowhere. No, he had to learn how to lead. All right. Read on.
Not because their fathers were prophets, but because they were under prophetic training, with prophets for their teachers.
Sound familiar like today. Go ahead.
Though not necessarily intended to be prophets themselves. At first Samuel, we may suppose, built one Nevaioth, one simple hospice for his students. And then, as their numbers grew, another and yet another. And so the plural Nevaioth came into vow as the name of the students' quarters.
Right. All right. You give me the next page. The next page. You can start middle paragraph. Second paragraph.
Jesse, the father of David, was not descended from a distinguished house of Judah, but, like all the inhabitants of Bethlehem, belonged to a very humble family. David was about 18 years old when he was anointed. It was not distinguished either by his appearance or by any deed. The beautiful pasture land round about Bethlehem had till then composed his world, but faculties lay dormant in him which only needed to be aroused to make him excel his contemporaries intellectually as Saul surpassed them physically.
So, hey, look up the word faculty. He said, but faculties lay dormant in him. What was that? Said faculties. Faculty. Look up the word faculty. What was laying dormant in King David before he became a leader?
Faculty, an inherent mental or physical power.
Get some synonyms.
Power, capability, capacity, facility, potential, potentiality, propensity, wherewithal, means, preparedness, senses, wits, reason, intelligence.
So your faculties is your mental powers. It says an inherent mental or physical power. So power, capability, capacity, his potential. Somebody will tell you, you got great potential, but you got to get it out of you. Somebody got to get that potential out of you. Bishop Yawasop harps on that a lot of us, how to get the see the vision to bring out the potential in the young men. All right. So go back to the page again. Go back to the page again.
But faculties lay dormant in him.
So there was mental faculties that lay dormant in King David. Read on.
Which only needed to be aroused to make.
How would it be aroused? It needed to be aroused. Somebody had to get it out of him. Who was it? Samuel. Going around Samuel, the prophet Samuel, he was able to bring around young men to what? To get those mental gifts out of them. You understand? But if he didn't apply himself, if King David didn't apply himself and stayed around King Samuel, though he wouldn't have had nobody to bring out those mental faculties in him. He wouldn't know what lay dormant inside of him. He wouldn't know how to get it out of him. But being around his leadership, they was the ones to bring it. Samuel was the one to bring those mental faculties out of them. Just like today, the leadership, they're the ones to bring those mental faculties out of us, man. They the ones that let us know what potential we have. Because why? We as a people, we look like we have low self-esteem as a people. But what lays in us, what lays dormant in us is great faculties, man. But we all have great potential. But you need somebody to arouse that thing and get that thing out of you. All right, read on.
But faculties lay dormant in him, which only needed to be aroused to make him excel his contemporaries intellectually as Saul surpassed him physically. David was preeminently gifted with poetic and musical talent. And whilst he yet tended his flock, his harp awakened the echoes of the mountains. A single circumstance, however, sufficed to change this youth into a man.
So hold on. It say a single circumstance, however, sufficed to change this youth into a man, right? Read on.
Samuel returned to Ramah as secretly as he had left, but he kept an eye on the youth whom he had anointed and drew him into the circle of his disciples.
So King David was drawn into the circle. He went to the school. He was in the school. He was called a son of the prophets. Go ahead.
Here, David's poetic talents were developed. Here, he was able to perfect himself in the use of musical instruments.
So only in the truth, he was only able to develop and get those mental faculties out of himself by coming around Samuel, who was his leadership at that time. Go ahead.
But he learned something more in Samuel's surroundings.
What was that?
He learned to know God.
So even though he developed those mental faculties that was in him, the main mental faculty he needed to develop was learning to know the Most High God. Go ahead.
His spirit was pervaded with the divine presence and became instinct with that piety which refers all things to God and submits in all things to divine guidance. This reliance on God had been awakened and strengthened in him by the influence of Samuel.
Read that again.
This reliance on God had been awakened and strengthened in him by the influence of Samuel.
So Samuel, the prophet Samuel, was the one to influence King David as a young man by that was his leadership. King David stayed around Samuel. So from Samuel, King David learned to understand how to become a leader. but he was a follower first. All right, he became a follower first. All right, from there. Let's deal with no, give me let's deal with Elisha. 1 Kings 19:1. Let me get there. You go ahead.
1 Kings chapter 19, verse 1. And Ahab told Jezebel all that Elijah had done, and withal how he had slain all the prophets with the sword. Then Jezebel sent a messenger unto Elijah, saying, So let the gods do to me, and more also, if I make not thy life as the life of one of them by tomorrow about this time. And when he saw that, he arose and went for his life, and came to Beersheba, which belonged.
Just to bring you up to speed, Jezebel was killing all the prophets. All right, so now she was after the life of Elijah. Go ahead.
And when he saw that, he arose and went for his life, and came to Beersheba, which belongeth to Judah, and left his servant there. But he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness, and came and sat down under a juniper tree. And he requested for himself that he might die.
Hey, my point is in 16, but I like the story of, I like the history here, so we're going to read the whole chapter. All praises.
Go ahead. And he requested for himself that he might die, and said, It is enough now, O Lord.
What verse you at?
Verse 4.
Go ahead.
It is enough now, O Lord. Take away my life, for I am not better than my fathers. And as he lay and slept under a juniper tree, behold, then an angel touched him, and said unto him, Arise and eat. And he looked, and behold, there was a cake baking on the coals, and a cruse of water at his head. And he did eat and drink, and laid him down again.
Wait, so Elijah, an angel cooked for Elijah. Go ahead.
And the angel of the Lord came again the second time and touched him and said, Arise and eat, because the journey is too great for thee. And he arose and did eat and drink, and went in the strength of that meat 40 days and 40 nights unto Horeb, the mount of God.
So Elijah fasted for 40 days and 40 nights. All right, in the strength of that meat. Go ahead.
And he came thither unto a cave, and lodged there. And behold, the word of the Lord came to him, and said unto him, What doest thou here, Elijah? And he said, I have been very jealous for the Lord God of hosts. For the children of Israel have forsaken thy covenant, thrown down thine altars, and slain thy prophets with the sword. And I, even I only, am left. And they seek my life to take it away.
Read.
And he said, Go forth and stand upon the mount before the Lord. And behold, the Lord passed by, and a great and strong wind rent the mountains, and brake in pieces the rock before the Lord.
Damn, read on.
But the Lord was not in the wind. And after the wind, an earthquake. But the Lord was not in the earthquake.
Read.
And after the earthquake, a fire. But the Lord was not in the fire. And after the fire, a still small voice.
Read.
And it was so, when Elijah heard it, that he wrapped his face in his mantle, and went out, and stood in the entering in of the cave. And behold, there came a voice unto him, and said, What doest thou here, Elijah? And he said, I have been very jealous for the Lord God of hosts, because the children of Israel have forsaken thy covenant, thrown down thine altars, and slain thy prophets with the sword. And I, even I only, am left, and they seek my life to take it away. And the Lord said unto him, Go, return on thy way to the wilderness of Damascus. When thou comest, anoint Hazael to be king over Syria.
So now he said, verse 15, he says, Anoint Hazael king over Syria. Read.
And Jehu, the son of Nimshi, shalt thou anoint to be king over Israel.
So Jehu he was to be anointed king over northern kingdom. Read.
And Elisha, the son of Shaphat, of Abimelech, shalt thou anoint to be prophet in thy room.
So Elisha, we want to deal with Elisha now. He was anointed to be prophet in Elijah's room, meaning his successor, right? Read on.
And it shall come to pass that he that escapeth the sword of Hazael shall Jehu slay. And him that escapeth from the sword of Jehu shall Elisha slay. Yet I have left me 7,000 in Israel, all the knees which have not bowed unto Baal, and every mouth which have not kissed him.
So remember, Elijah think he was alone. He thought he was alone. Ordered Jezebel killing all the prophets. But now the Lord said, look, I've left how many? Read it again.
Yet I have left me 7,000 in Israel, all the knees which have not bowed unto Baal.
So he said, listen, you're not alone. I still got 7,000 that ain't bowed a knee yet. Okay. So meaning what? The Most High still had men in reserve. All right. Men in reserve that was going to wake up. Okay. Read on.
And every mouth which have not kissed him. So he departed thence and found Elisha the son of Shaphat, who was plowing with 12 yoke of oxen before him, and he with the 12th. And Elijah passed by him and cast his mantle upon him.
Read. So now Elisha is doing what? I remember Deacon Isaac brought this out, Pentecost. He was doing husbandry. Right? Go ahead.
And he left the oxen and ran after Elijah and said, let me, I pray thee, kiss my father and my mother, and then I will follow thee. And he said unto him, go back again, for what have I done to thee? And he returned back from him and took a yoke of oxen and slew them and boiled their flesh with the instruments of the oxen.
So Elisha dropped everything. He dropped everything and followed Elijah. Dropped everything and followed Elijah. Read.
And gave unto the people, and they did eat. Then he arose and went after Elijah and ministered unto him.
See, so now he ministers to Elijah. Meaning what? He stayed up under Elijah. He wore down Elijah's footsteps, man. All right. Give me 2 Kings 2 and 1.
2 Kings chapter 2, verse 1. And it came to pass, when the Lord would take up Elijah into heaven by a whirlwind, that Elijah went with Elisha from Gilgal. And Elijah said unto Elisha, tarry here, I pray thee, for the Lord hath sent me to Bethel. And Elisha said unto him, as the Lord liveth, and as thy soul liveth, I will not leave thee. So they went down to Bethel. And the sons of the prophets that were at Bethel came forth to Elisha, and said unto him,
Hey, hold that. Give me the page now. No, I didn't even send that to you, bro. So Bethel was one of the schools that Elijah had. He was, because at that time Elijah was the leader at that time. So he had different schools set up: Bethel, Gilgal, and so forth. One second. I'm about to send it to you. Man. You should say something.
So I was going to ask you, officer, so what we doing when we set up schools, we're basically continuing what the prophets of old did. We following the footsteps of our forefathers.
Yes, we follow in the footsteps of our forefathers, man. That's right. That's all you got to say? Oh, snap. All right, here we go. Yeah, ask them what color pencils they got. One sec. I think that's it. All right. Who I'm sending this to? All right. Let's see. Bear with me, Israel. 1 second. All right. Pull it up. You should have it. Go down to the third page, maybe. Let me see. Yeah, this page right here. Yep, that one. No. Right there. You blow that one up. Yo, you look like, I know it. Let me see. I'll help you out with the words. Go down. Go down to the last paragraph. Hit that click search. Yeah, hit that John. Which says Gilgal. Right. No. Stop moving it, man.
Back down a little bit more. Where it says Galgal.
Right there.
Galgal or Gilgal or Galgala was another of their schools. There was a plain over against it, which shows that it had an open and free air.
Wait, hey, go up. Go up. Okay. Start at the prophets. No, yeah. Start at the prophets Elijah and Elisha. You see what I'm saying? Right here.
Prophets of Elijah and Elisha. Yes, sir.
Matter of fact, let's start at the top. Let's read a little bit.
Let that at Barbael, because of its name and nature, be the first. It was a name of honor, the house of Baal, whilst it was a place kept pure for the instituted worship of Jehovah Elohim. In this city, the sons of the prophets, some of them had a kind of college or school.
So go up so we can see what school they're talking about here. Read the grand design. Let me see, go up. I just want to see. Let me see. Go up. All right, that's all right. I don't know what school he was talking about there, but go back to where he was at. No, go back to the first paragraph where he was at. First paragraph, right here. Yep.
The house of Baal, whilst it was a place kept pure for the instituted worship of Jehovah Elohim. In this city, the sons of the prophets, some of them had a kind of college or school. Here the Lord appeared and revealed himself in special to Jacob, manifesting his gracious presence unto him.
That F is a S. It look like an F, but it's an S. Go ahead.
Judge Samuel went from year to year in circuit to this place, which was in the heart of the country, belonging by lot to the tribe of Benjamin. The prophets Elijah and Elisha often visited this city.
So the prophet Elijah, at this time, he was the leadership at this time, and Elisha was under him. All right. So he often visited the different schools that he had set up. So read on.
For here was the nursery for scripture learning.
So the nursery for what?
Scripture learning.
Read.
Where the sons of the prophets were addicted to that study.
So there was a school. So these different schools that he had, the sons of the prophet were addicted to the study of scripture learning. Just like today. Just like the leadership now today. They go to different schools to go visit the different schools to check up on the various schools, the various camps. Same thing, man. Read on.
It had a mountain eastward of it, and such little mountains and hills at a convenient distance do somewhat hinder and keep back over sharp, blasting, vaporous, over piercing, over cold, or otherwise hurtful winds.
Read.
It stood upon a mount, the eminence of the habitation being best approved for health and for the prolonging of life. The air there being the more open, and the breathing therefore the more free. The abster to engender and occurrence. Accruance?
Yeah.
Accruance and generousness. Acuteness and generousness of publicness and magnificence of mind. Whereas when the dwellings of studious men are in crooked and close. And low.
So he's explaining, he's going from how the air quality pretty much. He's talking about how the air quality is better for learning. That's what he's saying. Go ahead.
Crooked and close and low and finny countries. Those who are of a retired.
So the school was on a hill pretty much. The school was on a hill. It was up where in like the like high altitude pretty much with, the air was free. Go ahead.
Sedentary, pondering, and inquiring life are greatly incommoded thereby, being of a more dull and drowsy, sluggish and lazy.
So read that part again. The one, whereas when the dwellings of Read that part again.
Whereas when the dwellings of studious men are in crooked and close, in low and finny countries.
So he's saying, whereas if you sitting on top of each other, crooked, close, in a small building, go ahead.
Those who are of a retired, sedentary, pondering, and inquiring life are greatly incommoded thereby, being of a more dull and drowsy, sluggish and lazy,
go ahead,
sordid and earthy,
distemperature,
whilst those who dwell in a more healthful and high, a more pure and thin, a more clear and heavenly air, are of a more princely and celestial, of a more subtle and refined, of a more nimble and witty, of a more ingenious and ingenuous.
So those that got better air quality are more smarter, pretty much. That's what he's saying. Than those that like Philly. Air quality is terrible in Philly. Yeah, sluggish and drowsy. So that's what he's saying. That's why everybody's sluggish and just drowsy. So if you if you in the city, he's saying if you have a school in the city, you're going to be sluggish and drowsy, and it's bad for learning. That's what he's saying. Then if you somewhere up on a hill or something like that, if you have a school up on a hill with more open air, that's better for breathing in. It's better for it's better for health, and it's better for your learning. Good oxygen, pretty much. You about to say something?
Nope.
Oh, read on.
Of a more magnanimous and winged spirit, habit, state, and temper. In this Bethel dwelt an old prophet. It was a royal city, the house of the kingdom. There was an ascending up into it. When it became idolatrous, its name was changed from Bethel and house of God, and a Bethel, the house.
Jump down to that second paragraph.
Galgal or Gilgal or Galgala was another of their schools.
So Gilgal, Bethel was another. So Gilgal was another school that he had. Go ahead.
There was a plain over against it, which shows that it had an open and free air.
See that? Open and free air. Good air quality. Go ahead.
It was not far from the river Jordan. Here Saul was made king, and David also was received again to his kingdom. Samuel, a priest, prophet, and judge, yearly visited this place. Elijah and Elisha, two old prophets, were, if not presidents of this college, yet at the least visitors of it.
So they always either they was the over that school but they always visited. Read.
To examine how the sons and students profited there, to instruct, reform, and to put all into good order.
Read.
For there they sat before these rectors on lower seats to hear instructions as disciples at the feet of their masters and teachers and tutors.
Just like today, we doing the same thing today, man. We sitting before our instructors today, all right? Listening to instructions on how to keep God's laws, all right? Doing the same things our forefathers doing. But here I want to focus on Elisha, how he was a follower of Elijah before he became a leader. All right. Let's read on.
They sat to the faces of their instructor. This scripture expression of the sons sitting to the faces of the old prophet Elisha doth speak out such as in useful truth, as gives a very apt direction both to teacher and to scholars.
All right, so you could drop that. Go back to 2 Kings chapter 2, verse 1.
2 Kings chapter 2, verse 1. And it came to pass when the Lord would take up Elijah into heaven by a whirlwind, that Elijah went with Elisha from Gilgal.
So remember, Gilgal was a school. Gilgal was one of the schools. Read.
And Elijah said unto Elisha, tarry here, I pray thee, for the Lord hath sent me to Bethel. And
remember, Bethel was another school. Go ahead.
And Elisha said unto him, as the Lord liveth, and as thy soul liveth, I will not leave thee. So they went down to Bethel.
So Elisha would not leave Elijah, man. He always was under his wing. All right. He was always under his wing. He wore out Elijah's footsteps. Read.
And the sons of the prophets that were at Bethel came forth to Elisha and said unto him, knowest thou that the Lord will take away thy master from thy head today? And he said, yea, I know it. hold ye your peace.
Yeah, I ain't asked y'all that. Go ahead.
And Elijah said unto him, Elisha, tarry here, I pray thee, for the Lord hath sent me to Jericho. And
So Jericho was another school that he visited. Read.
And he said, as the Lord liveth, and as thy soul liveth, I will not leave thee. So they came to Jericho.
Read.
And the sons of the prophets that were at Jericho came to Elisha and said unto him, knowest thou that the Lord will take away thy master from thy head today? And he answered, and yea, I know it. Hold ye your peace. And Elijah said unto him, tarry, I pray thee here, for the Lord hath sent me to Jordan. And he said, as the Lord liveth, and as thy soul liveth, I will not leave thee. So they two went on.
What verse you at?
Verse 7.
Okay. Go ahead.
And 50 men of the sons of the prophets went and stood to view afar off. And they too stood by Jordan. And Elijah took his mantle and wrapped it together and smote the waters. And they were divided hither and thither, so that they too went over on dry ground.
Damn. Read.
And it came to pass, when they were gone over, that Elijah said unto Elisha, ask what I shall do for thee before I be taken away from thee. And Elisha said, I pray thee, let a double portion of thy spirit be upon me.
You see what Elisha asked for? He asked for a double portion of Elijah's spirit. He wanted a double portion. Go ahead.
And he said, thou hast asked a hard thing. Nevertheless, if thou see me when I am taken from thee, it shall be so unto thee. But if not, it shall not be so. And it came to pass, as they still went on and talked, that behold, there appeared a chariot of fire and horses of fire, and parted them both asunder. Elijah went up by a whirlwind into heaven. And Elisha saw it, and he cried, my father, the chariot of Israel, and the horsemen thereof. And he saw him no more.
All right, from there. Hey, give me that last page real quick. Give me that last page. Last page. Yeah, read that.
Elijah was outwardly distinguishable by his peculiar dress, and contradistinction to the effeminate, luxurious dress of the worshippers of Baal and Astarte. His undergarment was confined by a leather belt, and over it he wore a black hairy cloak. He wore his hair long and touched no wine, and thus gave rise to the institution of Nazarites,
Go ahead.
who were not permitted to drink wine or to shave the hair of the head.
Go down right there, or the underline.
There were yet faithful adherents of the God of Israel. Amongst these, Elijah probably found his first auditors and disciples, who were carried away by his enthusiastic manner and became his helpers.
And right, so and Elisha, we know was one of them. Right, go ahead.
In a short time, a body of prophets or disciples, Bene Nebim, had arisen, who were ready to give up their lives for their ancestral tenets.
So they were ready to give up their lives, man. They was willing to die, all right, to keep God's laws. All right, go ahead. Go to the next page. No, go down right here.
In this way, Elijah not only aroused and inspired a band of defenders of the ancient law for his own time, but opened the path to a new future. He set simplicity and self-restraint against degeneracy and love of pleasure.
Right.
With his body,
meaning what? Sin. Okay, go ahead.
With his body of disciples, he eagerly commenced action against the priests and prophets of Baal. He probably passed rapidly from place to place, called the populace together, and inspired them with his storm-like eloquence.
So what it mean? He probably passed from place to place, meaning he was holding camp from place to place. Go ahead.
The point of which was Jehovah alone is God, and Baal and Astarte are dumb, lifeless idols.
All right, from there, you drop that. So the Most High always set up men over us to guide us. All right, each captivity, each generation, he always set leaders up to guide us. All right, in our captivity. All right, and there was always men that were that followed in the footsteps of the leadership. There was always followers, disciples. All right, that followed in the footsteps of the leadership. All right, and these men followed first before they became leaders. Okay, give me Sirach 44 and 4.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 44, verse 4. Leaders of the people by their counsels and by their knowledge of learning meet for the people, wise and eloquent in their instructions, such as found out musical tunes and recited verses in writing. Rich men furnished with ability, living peaceably in their habitations. All these were honored in their generations and were the glory of their times. There be of them that have left a name behind them, that their praises might be reported. And
Read.
some there be which have no memorial, who are perished as though they had never been, and are become as though they had never been born. And
Hey, read verse. Start at verse 1 again.
Verse 1. Let us now praise famous men, and our fathers that begat us. The Lord hath wrought great glory by them through his great power from the beginning,
Read.
such as did bear rule in their kingdoms.
So these great men before they became leaders, okay, they were followers. These men were followers before they became leaders. All right. But once they became leaders, they did what? Verse 3.
Such as did bear rule in their kingdoms. Men renowned for their power, giving counsel by their understanding, and declaring prophecies.
So these men now they were able, as being followers first, now they were able to bear rule in their kingdoms, renowned for their power, giving counsel by their understanding, and declaring what? Prophecies. Read on.
Leaders of the people by their counsels, and by their knowledge of learning meet for the people.
And by their knowledge of learning. That was right, meet right for the people. Read.
Wise and eloquent in their instructions, such as found out musical tunes, and recited verses in writing. Rich men furnished with ability, living peaceably in their habitations. All these were honored in their generations, and were the glory of their times. There be of them that have left a name behind them, that their praises might be reported.
Right. So from there. Now, give me the definition of counsel, because as a follower, you must learn to follow counsel. We must learn to follow counsel. All right. Great leaders learn to follow counsel before they got in that position of becoming leaders. All right. Give me the definition of counsel.
Counsel. Advice, especially that given formally. The lawyer or lawyers conducting a case.
So counsel is advice, right? Give me dictionary.com. I don't like that one. Dictionary.com. Counsel. This is something we all got to learn to follow. Counsel. Go ahead.
Advice, opinion, or instruction given in directing the judgment or conduct of another.
Right. So counsel is advice, or is an opinion or instruction, we know from the Bible, given in directing the judgment or conduct of another person. Okay. Go down. I see. Read 8.
To give advice to, advise.
To advise. Go ahead.
To urge the adoption of, as a course.
I don't like that one. All right, let's get some. Go back now. You can go back. Let's get some synonyms. Go back. Let's get some synonyms. Yeah.
Advice.
So
guidance.
counsel is advice. Is what?
Guidance.
Guidance. Go ahead.
Direction.
Instruction.
Instruction.
So counsel is instruction.
Information.
It is information.
Enlightenment.
Enlightenment to you.
Recommendation.
It's a recommendation. When you ask for counsel or whatever, it's a recommendation. Listen, I know you want to do this, but I advise you to do this. The scriptures say this, so because why? We give you Bible. When you getting counsel, look, you getting what the scriptures say. Go ahead.
Suggestions.
It's a suggestion, right? Go ahead.
Hints.
Read.
Tips. Pointers.
It's a hint because we hinting, don't do that. That's why it becomes a hint. Like, look, don't do that. Go ahead.
Guidelines. Ideas. Opinions. Views. Facts. Data. warning.
So counsel is also a warning. Go ahead.
Admonition.
It's admonition, which is also a warning.
Caution.
Yo, caution. Don't think you listen. That might not be a good idea for you. Once you do this, so what happens is the leadership gives you advice on what you look. I think you should do this, but look, you can decide what you want to do at the end of the day. But this is gonna be better for you. Trust me. Why? Because guess what? They've been there. They done that, or they seen that. So, the counsel that they give you, right, is according to the scriptures and experience. Okay, drop that. Give me Proverbs 15:22. Remember, the great leaders understand they followed counsel. When they was followers, they followed counsel. That's how they became great leaders now, because now they can teach the next person. All right, Proverbs 15:22.
Proverbs chapter 15, verse 22. Without counsel, purposes are disappointed. But in the multitude of counselors, they are established.
Bro, I'm never there. Never there. Never. Let me see. Hold on. Hey. All right, go ahead.
Without counsel, purposes are disappointed.
So without counsel, purposes are disappointed. If you don't seek counsel, whatever you purposed in your mind to do, you're going to be disappointed from that thing. Meaning what? Everything is going to go wrong. And we see this time and time again, man. We be like, damn, everything falling apart for the brother and the sister. But guess what? They never asked for counsel. Never came up to the leadership and asked for any type of counsel, man. So now things is going wrong, one after another. Anything they try to do is falling apart right before their eyes. And right before our eyes. We looking like, damn, look at what's going on. What's going on with the brother? What's going on with the sister? Did they ask for counsel? Nah, they ain't never came up and asked for anything. They ain't never. So now things is falling apart. Read it again.
Without counsel, purposes are disappointed.
So understand, without any type of counsel, your purpose, whatever you purpose in your mind, will be disappointed. All right? Read on.
But in the multitude of counselors, they are established.
But if you have the multitude of counselors, if you come to the leadership, your purposes will be established, man. It'll be established. Why? Because now the Lord is intervening now. You ain't just out on your own just trying to make decisions and so forth and not knowing what you're doing. Now you come into the leadership. Now you stand in the multitude of the elders that can help you. All right? From there, give me Proverbs 11:14.
Proverbs
11:14.
Chapter 11, verse 14. Where no counsel is, the people fall. But in the multitude of counselors, there is safety.
So where no counsel is, the people will fall. If there's no counsel, man, trust me, the people will fall. If you don't have no vision of what you're trying to do or anything like that, if you don't come and if you don't come to leadership and lay out, look, what y'all think of this? You think I would, so the leadership can decide, like, look, you make it, you probably could do it, because a lot of times they've been there and done that. They have that experience. All right, read again.
Where no counsel is, the people fall.
Uh-huh.
But in the multitude of counselors, there is safety.
But understand, the multitude of counselors, there is safety for your purpose, whatever you're trying to do in your life. All right? From there, give me Proverbs 24:6. 24:6.
Proverbs chapter 24, verse 6. For by wise counsel thou shalt make thy war, and in multitude of counselors there is safety.
Read it again.
For by wise counsel thou shalt make thy war.
Mm-hmm. So by wise counsels, then you should go to war. Okay, so you got men around you to counsel you on how to go to war, strategies and so forth, how to set things up for war. Go ahead.
And in multitude of counselors there is safety.
And in a multitude of counselors there is safety. From there, Tobit 4:8. Give me Tobit 4:18. Dealing with counsel. As a follower, we got to learn to follow counsel, man, before you could become a great leader.
Tobit, chapter 4, verse 18.
Let me get that.
I was about to say, Officer Esau understand counsel. They got war councils all the time. They got councils for everything.
Everything. They always having counsels. You understand? Always having counsels. Go ahead.
Tobit, chapter 4, verse 18. Ask counsel of all that are wise.
So this is Tobit talking to his son. Right? Let me see. Read it again.
Ask counsel of all that are wise. And
So he told him to ask counsel of all that are wise. Go ahead.
and despise not any counsel that is profitable.
And don't any counsel that you get from the wise, don't despise it. It could be profitable for you. Any counsel that you get from the wise, it could be profitable for you, man. So don't despise it. It's great. It's advice on how to move. If it be marriage counsel, anything like that, it's great advice on, look, do this, don't do this. This might work, but this might not work. All right, try this. Okay, that's counsel. You can take it or not. You can do it. You can do whatever you want with it. But listen, it's advice on what to do. All right, read again.
Ask counsel of all that are wise, and despise not any counsel that is profitable.
For example, leadership. If you like, look, I want to prove that sister right there. I like her. Leadership, like, nah, I don't think she not ready. She ain't the one for you. But you see it time and time again. You end up going to prove the sister. You like, man, forget leadership. They don't know what they talking about. Me and the sister in love. We love each other. You understand? We in love. We love each other. They don't. I don't know what they talking. I don't see what they saying. They like, no, the sister ain't ready. She got this going on, this, that, and the third going on. Got about, whatever going on with the sister. And they let you know the blueprint of the sister. You like, forget that. I'm gonna marry her anyway. And you end up marrying her, doing a backdoor marriage, and guess what? The whole marriage is falling apart. Right. The whole marriage is going to the dump. Why? Because you ain't followed the counsel, man. You think you know it all. Okay? You think you know it all. Before the leadership. Wow, they have the experience, they seen things. And leadership always say, like, yo, we seen this happen already. We seen that happen already. And you like, nah, ain't gonna happen to me. I'm different. I'm different. I'm special, man. It ain't gonna happen to me. Then you go and do contrary wise, and then now you in a world of nonsense. Okay, so read that again. Y'all got a definition?
Yes, sir.
All right, read on.
Ask counsel of all that are wise, and despise not any counsel that is profitable.
Don't despise any counsel that is profitable. Now, read that. What you got?
Counsel, advice, especially given by older people or experts. A piece of advice. Listen to the counsel of your elders.
Hey, I got a video, man, but it's a lot of cursing. I'm about to play it. Bring it out. Say, bring it out. Nah, it's it go along with the class. It's Gilly. Those of you know Gilly the Kid. Yeah. He actually saying something smart. You know what I mean? He's saying something smart this time. Yo, I was like, yo, I like what he's saying. Kind of inspired the class. I'm scared to play it. Nah, hold on, let me see.
I was about to say, if I may,
go ahead.
The point that you brought out in Tobit 4, it says, ask counsel of all that are wise.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not saying your peers. A lot of people get that confused when they hear counsel. They start thinking, oh, well, counsel is just anybody. It says counsel with those that are wise. The wisdom comes from the elders. The wisdom comes from the leadership, not your peers. We have an example of somebody that took counsel, that forsook the counsel of the wise.
Wait, man, you jumping the gun, man.
I'm sorry.
What's wrong with this brother?
See, I was finally ready to talk. I finally did it.
Yo, talk to me first, man. See what I got going on for you.
My bad.
Nah, you good. Nah, I got no seriously, but I got that. I got that.
All praises.
We definitely gonna get that. But let me find the video of Gilly the kid talking about, man. Where did I put that joint? Let me see. Are y'all able to? Nah, we ain't got no children here. Let's go. 1 second. What happened? Yeah, what's going on, man? Let me see if y'all can play this joint. I'm sending the who? Oh, right here. All right. Oh boy. Nah, it's yeah. Can you hear? Can I hear it?
All the young niggas out there, this is some game for y'all to, when you got OGs around, when you got motherfuckers around that's older than you that you know got your best interests at heart, just don't have them niggas around and don't be soaking no game up, man.
You gotta always stay a student, bro. It don't matter how high you get up, you know what I'm saying? You gotta stay a student.
Absolutely, because motherfuckers that get to a certain point where you got the money now, you got the millions, you got the cars, you got the house, you got the, and now motherfucker can't tell them that they become deaf.
Exactly.
Money make motherfuckers deaf. Now nigga can't tell you nothing.
Exactly.
But don't have no OGs around and not use them niggas.
Sure.
So if you know he got your best interest at heart, when he spitting that game, soak that shit up. And if that shit makes sense and what he's saying, then put that shit into your plan, man. To all the young niggas out.
All right. So what he's saying is, if you have older men around you, all right, soak up what they're saying. If you're around older men and they giving you advice, and like he said, if it's of interest to you, then put it into motion, put it into play. He's saying, and then what's his name? Was it Moneybag Yo? I don't know the name, but 21 something. Anyway, he said you always got to be a student. You always got to be a student. So if you have older men around you, elders. So this is pretty much in a worldly sense. All right, it's in a worldly sense. But if you have older men around you, man, soak up what they telling you. But this generation ain't soaking nothing up that the older men's telling them. You understand? All right. I missed something else he said in there too. He said, he said like men, like today you get money. You become too high, too proud to take any type of counsel or any type of advice. And that's the men today, but too proud. You don't want it now. You got money, you got a house, and nobody could tell you nothing. Like, nah, I don't need your advice. I don't need, you know what I'm saying? So he just saying, look, if you listen to the older men, listen to the older generation, man, because why? They've been there, they done that. They have experience. All right, so that's what he was saying. From there, give me Sirach 16:37. And then we're going to go on to Rehoboam. Almost done.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 16. You said 16:37?
Yeah, it should be 37:16.
Yes, sir. Ecclesiasticus chapter 37, verse 16. Let reason go before every enterprise, and counsel before every action.
So we got to learn this, man. We got to understand, let reason go before every enterprise and counsel before every action. We must counsel before every action. All right? I remember, for myself, because we stocking up for the famine and so forth. Stocking up for famine. So, I was talking to the cat. And he was like, and I was in an apartment. So talking to the cat, he's like, yo. He's like, how? He's like, you stocking up? So, I'm happy I'm stocking up. I'm like, yeah, I'm stocking up. Got my, everything set up, whatever, for the famine. He said, bro, how you stocking up in an apartment? He said, how you stocking up for the famine in an apartment? That's something that's not yours. So that made me, I sat back and thought about it like, damn, maintenance man come over. It's not mine. Maintenance man come over. They could walk in your crib anytime, walk in the apartment anytime they want. They gonna see everything you got. So when he was like, look, man, why don't you try to get a house or whatever like that? Why don't you try to, get something? So I took that counsel in consideration and I went straight forward. I went out. I said, you know what? I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try it because it was the market, the market all crazy, whatever. But anyway, I took that counsel, man. I went for it, and now guess what? I have a house now. I have a house now that I can actually stock up. That's mine. But before I was trying to stock up in the apartment, but the cap had to open my eyes and realize like, yo, that's that decision. That's not gonna be a good decision. Okay, so he gave me the advice like, look, I advise you to stock up. I advise you to try to get a house, man, and something that's your own, and then stock up. But I'm in a little apartment, man. Got stuff all over the place. But that's not I don't own that. I'm renting that. All right. So me taking that counsel, that now I got all praise to the Most High. Now I was able to go out and get a house, man. But it took that counsel because I was comfortable in that. I was comfortable there. I was comfortable in that apartment, man. I became complacent. The cab had to light some fire in my behind. Like, yo, what the hell are you doing? What are you doing? I'm like, damn, you're right. I need to really go get a house if this is what we're gonna do. All right. So you about to say something?
I was just gonna say that's the safety and counsel.
Yeah, that was the safety. Exactly. That was the safety and counsel, man. All right. That was the safety and counsel right there. So read that Sirach 16:37 again.
Sirach chapter 37, verse 16. Let reason go before every enterprise, and counsel before every action.
And counsel before every action. Let me see. I got Proverbs 12:15. Let me see something. 1 second. Proverbs chapter 12, verse 15. Read that.
Proverbs chapter 12, verse 15. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes.
Mm-hmm. But that goes back to what Gilly was saying. So when you get money, nobody could tell you nothing. The way of a fool is what?
Right in his own eyes.
So everything is right to you in your own eyes. Everything is right to you. Go ahead.
But he that hearkeneth unto counsel is wise.
But he that hearkeneth to counsel is wise. All right. Like some people, some brothers may get money, come into money or whatever like that. And they will, you might want to, you don't know what to do with it. You come to leadership, probably like, yo, what can I do? With this, that, and the third. Leadership would counsel you on how to move with that, how to move with your finances and so forth. We had brothers that done got help with their finances. You know what I'm saying? So leadership will help you on how to better your finances. All right? Okay. Where to put your money at? Whether you want to investments, whatever it is. All right? But listen, remember, before every enterprise, let reason go before every enterprise, and let counsel go before every action, man. All right? Now, give me let's go back to Sirach 44. Let's get Rehoboam. What happens when you don't listen to counsel? What happens when you don't listen to counsel?
Ecclesiasticus chapter 44 and verse 9.
Read it.
And some there be which have no memorial, who are perished as though they had never been, and are become as though they had never been born, and their children after them. But these were merciful men, whose righteousness have not been forgotten. With their seed shall continually remain a good inheritance.
Where you at? Give me Sirach 47:20. You can start at verse 22.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 47, verse 22. But the Lord will never leave off his mercy, neither shall any of his works perish, neither will he abolish the posterity of his elect, and the seed of him that loveth him he will not take away. Wherefore he gave a remnant unto Jacob, and out of him a root unto David.
So it's talking about King Solomon. Read on. Watch this.
Thus rested Solomon with his fathers, and of his seed he left behind him Rehoboam, even the foolishness of the people, and one that had no understanding.
So Rehoboam was dumb as hell and had no understanding. Read.
Who turned away the people through his counsel.
Who turned away the people through his what?
Counsel.
So Rehoboam turned the people away through his counsel. We're going to read about that. Go ahead.
There was also Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who caused Israel to sin and showed Ephraim the way of sin.
So these men have no honor, right? Now, let's deal with Rehoboam. Let's get Rehoboam. What happens when you don't listen to counsel?
First Kings.
Hey, somebody find me also with Joseph and Azarias and Maccabees. You know what I'm talking about? Y'all probably never even read it. Brother's looking at me like, there's a Joseph and Azarias and Maccabees? Y'all know what I'm talking about? Yeah, look, brothers really don't know what I'm talking about. Officer, you know what I'm talking about? Oh, man. Yo, brothers ain't studying, man. Wow. No, not you. You don't get it. Read, we about to read about Rehoboam.
First Kings.
Chapter 12, verse 1.
First Kings chapter 12, verse 1.
Read.
And Rehoboam went to Shechem, for all Israel were come to Shechem to make him king. And it came to pass when Jeroboam the son of Nebat, who was yet in Egypt, heard of it, for he was fled from the presence of King Solomon, and Jeroboam dwelt in Egypt, that they sent and called him. And Jeroboam and all the congregation of Israel came and spake unto Rehoboam, saying,
So all Israel came to Rehoboam, right? Go ahead.
Thy father made our yoke grievous.
So they said, look, your father made our yoke grievous. Right? Read.
Now therefore make thou the grievous service of thy father and his heavy yoke which he put upon us lighter.
Why? Because King Solomon was imposing taxes on the people for the women, all the women that he had. Why? Because he wanted to build chapels and so forth, groves and so forth. Why? And temples to worship their gods. Right? So now they come to him. They like, yo, listen, Rehoboam, you about to be king. You king now. Your father's dead. We need you to make the yoke that he made upon us heavy. We need you to make it lighter for us now. Read.
And we will serve thee.
And we will serve you. All you got to do is make the yoke lighter. We will serve you. That's it. That's all we ask. Take these taxes off us, man. Right? Read.
And he said unto them, depart yet for 3 days. Then come again to me.
So he need 3 days to think about it. He need 3 days to think about that. He's like, no, give me 3 days and I'll get back to y'all, right? Read.
And the people departed. And King Rehoboam consulted with the old men.
So hold on. He consulted with the old men, right? First, he consulted with the old men. Read.
That stood before Solomon, his father.
So these men stood before King Solomon, his father, the wisest king of all. These elder men stood with his father, right? Go ahead.
While he yet lived, and said, how do ye advise that I may answer this people?
So he asked them. He went for counsel to them. How do you advise that I answer the people? Read.
And they spake unto him, saying, if thou wilt be a servant unto this people this day, and wilt serve them, and answer them, and speak good words to them, then they will be thy servants forever.
Yo, to me, that sounds like good counsel. That's good counsel right there. Read that again. What they say to him?
If thou wilt be a servant unto this people this day.
Hey, listen, Rehoboam. You got to imagine, look, he's sitting, you got the council, the elder men. And he like, yo, what's up? How do I advise the people? What do y'all think? I gave them 3 days. so I could think about it. How do you think I should advise? And they say, listen, read on.
If thou wilt be a servant unto this people this day,
All you got to do is be a servant to them, right? Read.
and wilt serve them,
And serve them. Go ahead.
and answer them,
And answer them.
and speak good words to them,
Uh-huh.
then they will be thy servants forever.
Read. Verse 8.
But he forsook the counsel of the old men.
So wait, this dude crazy as hell. He forsook the counsel of the men that stood with his father, King Solomon. He said, man, y'all crazy. I ain't doing that. Read.
Which they had given him, and consulted with the young men.
He went to his peers, men that got no understanding, just as dumb as him. He went to his peers. Read it again.
But he forsook the counsel of the old men,
Uh-huh.
which they had given him, and consulted with the young men that were grown up with him.
He went to his boys. Like, yo, what's up, man? What do you think we should do with these people? Go ahead.
And which stood before him. And he said unto them, What counsel give ye, that I may answer this people, who have spoken to me, saying, Make the yoke which thy father did put upon us lighter. And the young men that were grown up with him spake unto him, saying, Thus shalt thou speak unto this people that spake unto thee, saying, Thy father made our yoke heavy, but make thou it lighter unto us. Thus shalt thou say unto them, My little finger shall be thicker than my father's loins.
Meaning what? I'm going to make your yoke worse. That's the counsel that he got from his boys. He forsook the counsel of the elder men, the OGs, as we say today. He forsook their counsel, right? And went to his peers, which told him something, gave him even dumber answer, even dumber advice, even dumber counsel. Because they ain't know better. They had no understanding. Go ahead.
And now, whereas my father did lade you with a heavy yoke, I will add to your yoke. My father hath chastised you with whips, but I will chastise you with scorpions.
Read.
So Jeroboam and all the people came to Rehoboam the third day, as the king had appointed, saying, Come to me again the third day. And the king answered the people roughly,
So now he's talking rough to them.
and forsook the old men's counsel that they gave him, and spake to them after the counsel of the young men, saying, My father made your yoke heavy, and I will add to your yoke. My father also chastised you with whips, but I will chastise you with scorpions.
Dang. Read.
Wherefore the king hearkened not unto the people, for that cause was from the Lord.
So we all know this was of the Lord's doing, right? Go ahead. To
That-
split the nation up. Go ahead.
That he might perform his saying which the Lord spake by Ahijah the Shilonite unto Jeroboam the son of Nebat. So when all Israel saw that the king hearkened not unto them, the people answered the king, saying, What portion have we in David? Neither have we inheritance in the son of Jesse. To your tents, O Israel. Now see to thine own house, David. So Israel departed unto their tents. But as for the children of Israel which dwelt in the cities of Judah, Rehoboam reigned over them. Then King Rehoboam sent Adoram, who was over the tribute, and all Israel stoned him with stones, that he died. Therefore King Rehoboam made speed to get him up to his chariot to flee to Jerusalem.
So they was gonna kill us behind. So this was the beginning of the split right here. This is the beginning of the split of northern and southern kingdom. All right. Now, did y'all find what I was looking for? All right, give me that. So now I'm showing you what happens when you don't follow counsel. You don't follow counsel. When you decide to do your own thing.
First Maccabees, chapter 5, verse 18.
Hold on, let me get there. Go ahead.
So he left Joseph, the son of Zacharias, and Azarias, captain of the people.
Let's start up some. Let's read a little bit. This is my last scripture. Start at 15.
Verse 15. And said,
16. Start at 16.
Verse 16. Now when Judas and the people heard these words, there assembled a great congregation together to consult what they should do for their brethren that were in trouble, and assaulted of them. Then said Judas unto Simon his brother, choose thee out men, and go and deliver thy brethren that are in Galilee. For I and Jonathan my brother will go into the country of Galilee. So he left Joseph the son of Zacharias, and Azarias, captain of the people, with the remnant of the host in Judea to keep it, unto whom he gave commandments, saying, take ye the charge of this people, and see that ye make not war against the heathen until the time that we come again.
So he gave them an order, a simple order to follow. Don't make no war until we come back. All right, I need y'all. Listen, don't make no moves until we get back. Right, go ahead.
Now unto Simon were given 3,000 men to go into Galilee, and unto Judas 8,000 men for the country of Gilead. Then went Simon into Galilee.
Well, this ain't following. This is following orders. Okay, so instructions. Right, still counsel. Listen, don't do nothing till we get back. Right, go ahead. Don't make no war. Read.
Then went Simon into Galilee, where he fought many battles with the heathen, so that the heathen were discomfited by him. And he pursued them unto the gate of Ptolemais. And there were slain of the heathen about 3,000 men, whose spoils he took. And those that were in Galilee and in Arbatus, with their wives and their children, and all that they had, took he away with them, and brought them into Judea with great joy. Judas Maccabeus also and his brother Jonathan went over Jordan, and traveled 3 days' journey in the wilderness, where they met with the Nabathites, who came unto them in a peaceable manner, and told them everything that had happened to their brethren in the land of Gilead, and how that many of them were shut up in Basra, and Besor, and Alama, Caspor, Maked, and Carnaim. All these cities are strong and great, and that they were shut up in the rest of the cities of the country of Gilead, and that against tomorrow they had appointed to bring their host against the forts, and to take them, and to destroy them all in one day. Hereupon Judas and his host turned suddenly by the way of the wilderness into Basora. And when he had won the city, he slew all the males with the edge of the sword, and took all their spoils, and burnt the city with fire.
What verse you at?
Verse 29 now.
Okay.
From whence he removed by night, and went till he came to the fortress. And betimes in the morning they looked up, and behold, there was an innumerable people bearing ladders and other engines of war to take the fortress, for they assaulted them.
So let's jump to 55 for time's sake. Jump to 55.
Verse 55. Now, what time as Judas and Jonathan were in the land of Gilead, and Simon his brother in Galilee before Ptolemais, Joseph the son of Zacharias and Azarias, captains of the garrison, heard of the valiant acts and warlike deeds which they had done.
So they heard of all the warlike deeds that Judas had did, Jonathan, Simon. All right, go ahead.
Wherefore they said, let us also get us a name, and go fight against the heathen that are round about us.
So this is called vainglory. So they wanted to go get a name for themselves. All right, remember, Judas told them, don't make no war with no one. He gave them a commandment. Right, go ahead.
So when they had given charge unto the garrison that was with them, they went toward Jamnia. Then came Gorgias and his men out of the city to fight against them. And so it was that Joseph and Azarias were put to flight, and pursued unto the borders of Judea.
Damn. Read 60 again.
And so it was that Joseph and Azarias were put to flight, and pursued unto the borders of Judea. And there were slain that day of the people of Israel about 2,000 men.
Yo, so 2,000 men were put to death because these men decided we're not going to follow the counsel that the leadership gave them. They wasn't going to follow the orders or instruction that the leadership gave them. So guess what? 2,000 men of us got put to death that day. All right. They got put to flight. 2,000 men died. All because they decided to do their own thing. Vainglory. They wanted to get a name for themselves. But the Lord ain't put the spirit on them for them to get a name for themselves. The Lord ain't put the spirit on them to make war with anybody. All right. That was for the Maccabees. All right. So give me Proverbs 18:1. I ended there. Proverbs 18:1.
Proverbs chapter 18, verse 1. Through desire, a man, having separated himself, seeketh and intermeddleth with all wisdom.
Read it again.
Through desire, a man, having separated himself, seeketh and intermeddleth with all wisdom.
Officer Ari, what that mean?
Shalom, leadership, Most High Christ bless. What this is saying is, if an individual, he separates himself from the counsel of the leadership, those that are older and those that are above him, it says he tends to go off into his own mind and his own wisdom and then therefore fall away. If he doesn't go after the counsel and the wisdom that is set before him by the leaders, he gets caught up in his own thoughts and his own counsel.
Nah.
Okay.
That's not, Soldier Cephas. Read it for him again.
Through desire, a man, having separated himself, seeketh and intermeddleth with all wisdom.
What that mean?
So what it's saying is a man's own desires separates himself from the wisdom, separates himself from the wisdom of God, and he goes off and does his own thing, which then in returns backfires and could bring destruction upon him.
Damn. Nah. Anybody? Soldier Nehemiah. One more.
Read it again for me.
Through desire, a man, having separated himself.
Stop. So your desire is whatever you have, your thoughts. All right? Read it.
Having separated himself, seeketh and intermeddleth with all wisdom.
Right. So you're intermeddling with your own wisdom. You're not seeking the understanding of the leaders. That's what that's going into.
Nah, go back to Sirach 6. I'm missing the point. Sirach 6. It's not talking about he doing his own thing. He desiring to seek wisdom, so he separates himself to desire to go seek that wisdom. The scriptures.
Ecclesiasticus chapter 6, verse 32. My son, if thou wilt, thou shalt be taught.
Oh, bro, you know I'm not there. You know I'm not there, bro. All right, go ahead.
My son, if thou wilt, thou shalt be taught. And if thou wilt apply thy mind, thou shalt be prudent.
Right.
If thou love to hear, thou shalt receive understanding. And if thou bow thine ear, thou shalt be wise.
Right. So he says, my son, if thou wilt, thou shalt be taught. And if thou wilt apply thy mind, okay, thou shalt be prudent. Read on.
Verse 33. If thou love to hear, thou shalt receive understanding. And if thou bow thine ear, thou shalt be wise.
Mm-hmm.
Stand in the multitude of the elders, and cleave unto him that is wise.
Read.
Be willing to hear every godly discourse, and let not the parables of understanding escape thee. And if thou seest a man of understanding, get thee betimes unto him, and let thy foot wear the steps of his door.
So let thy foot wear the steps of his door. Verse 37. Verse 37. Listen good.
Let thy mind be upon the ordinances of the Lord,
Uh-huh.
and meditate continually in his commandments. He shall establish thine heart, and give thee wisdom at thine own desire.
So now let's go back to Proverbs 18:1. Let me see if let's go back to Officer Ari again.
Proverbs chapter 18, verse 1. Through desire a man, having separated himself, seeketh and intermeddleth with all wisdom.
See if you got it now.
Shalom, leadership. So what it's talking about, through his own desire, going back to Sirach 6, if he's willing to seek after that wisdom by going after the leadership, studying the words, through his own desire, the Lord says he's going to intermeddle with himself with all wisdom, meaning he's going to be there when the leadership is talking,
There you
not
go.
miss the classes and all those things. That's what
There
it's
you
talking
go.
about. Yes, sir.
Like our forefathers, Joshua, like King David, Elisha, they all separate themselves in the middle with wisdom. They stayed up under the leadership. All right. They stayed up under leadership. You got like brothers, like, yo, we about to go over here. Brother, like, nah, man, I'm gonna go. Leadership bringing out something over here, so I'm gonna go. I'm going to listen to leadership. I'm going to the table. I'm going to stand around leadership. All right. I know this is where the parable's at. This is where the dark sayings is at. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna end it on that. All right. So Lord's will, I gleaned something out of the class. I think Cat will, Lord's will be back next week, but if not, then I'll be doing Man Up Mondays again. But he should be back. But stay tuned. Man Up Mondays. All right. Shalom. Most High in Christ bless.
Making violence, killing brothers, switching riders, selling drugs upon the corners, but the prophets here, so boy, you better. You've been making violence, killing brothers, switching riders, selling drugs upon the corners, but the prophets here, so boy, you better man up. Cause the prophets here now. You better man up. Hey, bring that out. Cause the prophets here now. See hanging on the corner, see hanging on the streets. Somebody run up for you, someday you never see. I got that Bible on me, don't need no gun. You got them questions, I get it like everyone. Looking like I come for war, even when I come in peace. 3 times I pray to the Lord, 3 times I turn to these. Pop out to the club, sipping on that cup. Everything you do, I done did and I gave it up. Yeah. You've been making violence, killing brothers, switching riders, selling drugs upon the corners, but the prophets here, so you better. You've been making violence, killing